Welcome everybody to our first live broadcast stream. We're using 4G mobile, so please be patient if there is the odd dropout. We should get it back pretty quickly, and if that fails, you'll be able to watch it tomorrow on YouTube. We'll post the whole stream onto YouTube. If you have speakers or headphones available, you'll hear better audio through those, but we hope you enjoy tonight's broadcast. So tonight we have Elizabeth Cornish and Jason Skinner. Welcome, thanks very much for coming along for our first ever stream.
Thanks for having us.
No, pleasure. Before we get down to matters musical, can I just ask how the new image came along?
Mainly out of boredom.
And is Jason going to follow suit?
Yes.
So you could be two non-blondes, was it? Or two young blondes? We've talked about a stream for a while, that we've been looking at doing one. Was there any particular reason you were interested in doing one?
Partly because we've got fans all over the world. Like, a lot of our friends have moved abroad and my family are abroad, so I just wanted to get involved from that perspective. And also it's just kind of something different, a bit fun. I feel like I'm in my living room, so I think it'll give it kind of a bit of an intimate feel.
How do you decide? Because I've seen you play in 4 different formats. You play as a solo artist, you play with Jason as a duo, and then you play sometimes as 3 and then a full band of 4. How do you decide what way you're playing for a gig? Is it just availability of people?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's dependent on the venue and the type of gig it is. But I think it just sort of depends on kind of what type of feeling we're trying to get. Because they are quite different sounds. I think even myself playing alone is different than playing with Jason, so just kind of what feeling we're going for that day, really.
And how did you first get into music? What prompted you to, I don't know, take up guitar, was it, or to start singing?
I started like writing first. That was what I enjoyed doing. So like I've got books and books full of poems and songs and things, and singing them. And then I played violin since I was like 6, and then at school we got given like guitar lessons, which was amazing. And I learned a couple of chords, and it kind of just went from there. I thought I can do more with the guitar, I can write a song, whereas with the violin it's a little bit more complicated. And then just started playing through my teens, and when I came to uni, that's when I started a band, met Jason, and we kind of put a band together. So
was it uni that you first started playing gigs?
Yeah, properly. I played like a handful before then, but we played quite a lot more during uni and had a couple of different lineups throughout the years until we kind of really settled on our current lineup.
And how would you describe your music?
I'd say, that's a hard one. That is a hard one.
Because it's evolving.
Yeah, I suppose I'd call it like acoustic folk pop. I'd put it in sort of a category like that. But I'd say it's just quite heartfelt, quite emotional. But at the moment, I think we're looking at writing our second album, so we started doing that, and it is changing a little bit. It's still got kind of the roots of what it was, but we're sort of experimenting with different styles. And obviously, the more band members you have, the kind of more they influence the music, which is quite nice in a way.
It's not just one person then.
Yeah.
And what is your writing process?
I'd like to say I had a set process, but I'll be honest, I don't. I think sometimes I'll kind of go away and I'll just write for kind of like a couple of weeks, and then other times I'll start writing the music first and then put that with the lyrics. Other times I'm just jamming and the whole song will come together in about half an hour, which is excellent when that happens, but most of the time it's just a bit more fragmented, so kind of be going back and forth, trying new things out, and then I'll take it to the band and they'll put their bit on it as well.
So they will help develop the song?
Yeah, and recently we've been just having band practices where just being in that environment, I'll start writing a song and it'll just evolve that way. So it's never the same for every song, but I think I'm kind of an intuitive musician. I don't normally know what chords I'm playing or what key it's in or anything, but if it sounds good, then
And are you the kind of person who writes music where something will come to you at the oddest moments and you suddenly think, I've got to get that down? And
yeah, normally it'll be the lyrics first if I'm doing that, because I can't really like always hear what the guitar will sound like, and then I'll just sort of noodle around the guitar and find something that goes with it.
Your first album's called Displaced, and that's a kind of an insight into sort of, I don't know, the last few years, because you're not originally from Leicester?
No, I suppose up until I landed in Leicester, I'd been moving around quite a lot. I lived in the States for a couple of years and in France, so I never really felt like I had a home somewhere, but I've been in Leicester 7 years now, so I'm not feeling that as much anymore. I feel like this is my home.
And I think I read as well that you'd taken 6 years to put the album together.
Yeah.
How did it take so long?
I think because I started writing some of the songs when I was about 18, and like it was always my dream to put an album together. I was kind of set on doing that, but the actual process of doing it's a lot more complicated, I think, than most people think. Firstly, you've got money that you've got to find somewhere, you've got to find someone to record it and the musicians, and you've got to be at the right place in your life as well. Like up until that point I was studying, so that was my focus. I had other things going on, and I think it was like a learning process. I'm really hoping the next album doesn't take 6 years to write.
And how did you record it? Did you record it yourself, or did you use a studio?
We used sort of a studio. It was kind of like a very, very basic setup. So not much more than what we've got in this room at the moment, which is just a couple of microphones. And we basically did that with Shane Bowler, who recorded the Daydream Club's first album.
Oh, yes.
So he kind of mixed and mastered it and recorded it for us.
And were you happy with the sound? Did you feel you needed to tweak it a lot, or was it?
I'm like, as a first project, I'm really happy with it. It was way more than what I thought I could even achieve. But in terms of kind of where we want to go, I think I want something that's maybe a bit more polished and a bit more rehearsed, because when we were recording it, we were still writing the songs, and we didn't even have a guitarist. He kind of joined us halfway through. So I think the next album will probably be maybe a little bit more kind of well thought through.
Yeah. And have you started on that album?
We're writing at the moment. I don't want to like put any dates on it because like you think it's going to take a certain amount of time and it'll take you longer. So, but I really hope that we have something in the very near future.
You don't have to answer these questions if you don't want, but you mentioned about you need to raise money for an album. How do you decide as a kind of a local musician and not sure how an album's going to go? How do you decide how many copies to print off, how it's going to sell?
Through the learning process, I've realised probably order less than you think.
Can you share numbers with us, or?
I think it's easy to buy way too many because the price isn't normally like
they
what you
make
think
it
it
easy
is.
to buy twice as many,
Yeah.
and then they add say 5% onto the cost or something.
Yeah,
so
I think
that factor.
Yeah, I think we probably did make a mistake in buying the number of albums that we did, but I think that we'll probably sell them over the years as we play gigs. Like I think we've had like this album I think has been quite successful, but it's not like we're like selling like millions of copies and we're really famous. I think what most musicians will tell you, if they sell one or two CDs at a gig, that's a good night. I think most people think, oh, you must be selling like hundreds. No, I don't. It doesn't happen.
And do you sell most of them at gigs, or do you sell them online as well?
We sell most of them at gigs. We've sold a couple online, and what's really cool is you get people from like Australia and the Netherlands and the USA like buying them, and it's kind of just really nice when you get someone you've never met before buying your album.
And how are they coming across you, do you think?
Bandcamp. So if you've ever been on Bandcamp, it's basically it's a site where people put on their music, and they can be any genre, tiny little musicians, whatever, or really big musicians, and they can kind of search for you on there and buy your album. And it's just a really great way to get your music out there to audiences that you wouldn't normally come across.
And I suppose one of the beauties of the internet is it makes the world smaller, and those fans can feel as though they really have a bit of dialogue and a bit of a relationship with you.
Yeah, I think people, they have that ability to know you more than sometimes even more than at a gig, I think, because they can read all about everything that you're doing and keep up to date with what you're doing.
Okay, can we ask you to do a couple of songs first so we can hear some of your lovely music?
Yeah, so we're going to play Tears for Tea. these pages and clean your ears. Forget the past and lose your fears. Midnight tears over cups of tea. Let it out and trust in me. Cause after everything, the more you got, our wings are broken, maps are lost. We've got a long way to crawl. There's no one listening for your call, your call. Hold my hand and believe in me. Tear the threads that you used to keep. Scotch all the golden memories and photographs. Forget the past. 'Cause after everything, the more you got, our wings are broken, the maps are lost. We've got a long way to crawl. There's no one listening for your call, your call. 'Cause after everything, I know you got. Our wings are broken and the maps are lost. We've got a long way to crawl. There's no one listening for your call, your call. Midnight tears over cups of tea. Let it out and trust in